talks with us.
There's $200 million over 10 years in savings if we had tort reform, and nobody loses but the lawyers.
The more enemies you make. So, what is a reasonable possibility? First of all, I think most people folks who get injured by doctors or hospitals ought to get something while it's reasonable, right? Okay. Now, secondly, I think what we don't want is a lot of lawsuits against doctors that are frivolous and create the atmosphere in which we call doctors to do more stuff than they need to in order to make sure that doesn't get brought up in front of a jury and so on. So what I'm about to say is not authorized by anybody. I've tried it out on both doctors and lawyers, and neither one of them like it, so I'm sure there's probably somewhere a reasonable solution. But here's what I think we ought to do. It's not going to happen in this bill. This bill has enough enemies, and as you know very well, there's a fair number in this room. The more groups you take on, the more enemies you make, and we don't need any more for this bill right now. Here's a reasonable solution. And also, I might add, if we did put some reform in the bill, my guess is we wouldn't get one single extra vote in the United States Senate or the reasonable and fair to both injured patients and also physicians and hospitals and so forth and so on. You cannot take away the right to somebody to do a jury trial. You can't. It's unconstitutional. It's not fair. However, what I think ought to happen, by the way, this is going to be a hot one, Betty. I think comparative effectiveness research is going to be a great help in reforming tort. How about that? I'll tell you why. Because comparative effectiveness research is ultimately going to study what works and what doesn't, and it is going to create a national standard of practice. And the national standard of practice is an absolute defense of the court of law. If you've done the things that you're supposed to have done, then you cannot be sued, and any reasonable judge is going to say that. Here's what I think ought to happen. I mean, if you have an action that you're going to bring against a medical practitioner in order to arbitration, you cannot make arbitration binding, because if you do, you deny a jury trial. And then, so it goes to arbitration. If the patient is unsatisfied and believes they have still not been treated fairly, the fair thing to do is to have a trial and allow the arbitration verdict to be submitted as evidence.
Give us the right to
That's a very honest answer. Before we go any further, where is Mr. Toledo?
Okay, Mr. Toledo, because I noticed you gesturing and yelling, I suspected you were not who you are. The fact is that you were, so I want to apologize for that. Number one. That's number one. Number two, it's a very good question. It's a very appropriate question. It got an honest answer. That is the answer. That, you know, politics is the art of compromise. It would have generated a great deal of opposition, not just from tort lawyers, but from other sectors. And there's one other, which doesn't seem important, but in the scheme of things it actually matters, and that is that the bill would have had to go through the Judiciary Committee as well. And the Judiciary Committee, it would have criticized no more, because that is perhaps the most partisan of all the committees. And now would have reported out tort reform. So that's just a reality. Right?